When I first began writing, I always had these ideas for characters that I wanted to create. But when it actually came time, I always found myself wanting, and the ideas that I had in my head never felt like they came through on the written word themselves. And that is until I learned these 4 tips that really helped me build better main characters. Before we start off with the first of these important tips, I just want to invite you, if you are a writer or a reader who loves to share what you've learned or is looking to pick up something to learn, then go ahead and hit subscribe and join this community. I'm always looking for people to share their knowledge with, as well as to receive knowledge from what I learn. The proactive versus reactive character. You should have a main character who has wants, desires, needs, goals, and wants to achieve them. Anything that's short of that, where your character is reactive or lazy or unmotivated, tends to stall the plot. One of the first things you can do for your character when creating them is come up with a golden apple for them to aim for. What are their goals, desires, wants, and wishes? And then you make those desires, wants, and wishes their main driving force to achieve what they want through the story. Thinking about Greek mythology, they have been fascinating, and they've been fascinating for me ever since middle school. I think one thing that I was always drawn to was just how weird and bizarre and creative the stories were. Well, there was something in those stories that was identified by Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell was an American writer, scholar, and teacher who specialized in mythology and comparative religion. He was able to identify this formula that we call the hero's journey. The hero's journey is in all of us, and the hero's journey is in almost every story. The journey itself is as much a psychological trip as it is a physical one for the main character, and in many stories, it's both. I'm going to briefly share with you some of the steps here in the hero's journey. You could go a lot deeper on this, and for the sake of brevity, I will just make it an abridged version. At the very start of the story, you're going to have a call to adventure where the character will set forth on some sort of mission or goal. And if you notice, they're above in this known area. I love thinking about a very simple story for this because it's just easier. So hopefully you've seen the movie Kung Fu Panda. We have a call of adventure for our protagonist, Po. At the very beginning, he feels this calling to go check out this Kung Fu warrior demonstration where they're going to pick the dragon warrior. Something happens within the movie where you see supernatural aid. Through a matter of crazy circumstances, he actually ends up being picked as the dragon warrior himself. So this carries him from his known world of living within Peace Valley and running a noodle shop with his not father to crossing into the unknown. In the unknown, you have helper and then challenges and temptations. So he has a variety of different characters that he meets. He has struggles within himself. He has struggles with others. He has struggles with this super powerful Kung Fu warrior Tai Lung, who wants to be the dragon warrior also. And eventually he gets to this part of the abyss. The abyss is where the characters are at their lowest. They feel like there's no hope. Everything that they have tried is failing. And then they have a revelation. They transform. In this movie, there's this comparative analogy between a secret ingredient in his father's secret ingredient soup and the idea of what makes us special. Po, who's the main character, eventually realizes that there is no secret ingredient in his father's secret ingredient soup. And that means that he does not have to be somebody special to take up the mantle of Dragon Warrior. He is special by just being him. Coming to the end, atonement, and the return. Eventually, the character returns to something familiar. It doesn't have to be a physical place. It can be a mental state. It could be an emotional state. But however, they have changed. They're entering back into the known world, but they are forever changed. I like to compare it to if you imagine that you lived in one house as a child or during your childhood, and then you moved away, but then you came back. Everything is similar. The house layout, the floor plan, everything is there, but you're different, and therefore the house looks different, if that makes sense. The last thing to note too here is that, as you've probably noticed, it is a full circle. So it brings the character back, and it brings that sense of completion to the character development. If there's one way that I've changed the most when I think about characters, not just main characters, but characters in general, it would be I think about their flaws first now. I think about what they suck at. I think about what they want and how they can't get it. I think about how they fail, how others don't like them. And then I also think about contradictions within their character, right? What are some ways that they themselves live out a contradiction? This is a way to make them feel more relatable and more real. This is a great way to show a contradiction, making them feel more believable, because we have a bunch of contradictions ourselves. This last tip is really a 2-for-1, because not only is it powerful in creating a good character, main character for your story, but it is also good for helping to propel your plot and create story. Focus on the conflict. But you want to use conflict within the story to target your main character. That's really what's going to make it feel like the story is for them. If we go back to Kung Fu Panda for a second, all the obstacles that are within that story are really aimed at Po and his weaknesses. It's only when he learns to overcome those weaknesses does he become the dragon warrior who is able to defeat Tai Lung and win over the people of Peace Valley. Those are the 4 tips that I have for you, and those are the 4 tips that I've been using recently to really up my level when it comes to creating characters, and especially the main characters. I really hope that you enjoyed. Please leave a comment if you have an additional tip that you would like to share, and I would really greatly appreciate a like and a follow. So thank you so much, and take care.